What's up, everyone? I just wanted to start off by thanking you for watching my videos and liking them and commenting and even disliking. All the input helps. First things first, the thumbnail, I put a clean version of it down below in the video description, so if you want to check that out, feel free to use it. But if you want to know how I made it and find out my thought process, because some of the stuff is really interesting, like how I got the compass on there and how I figured out where all the buildings are, just stay tuned. So we're just going to start from left to right. The first one is the hardware store. This location is important because it's going to have a lot of tools necessary for you to build stuff and possibly even weapons. Things that I imagine you would find in a hardware store are like nails, hammers, potentially a multimeter. Let's get into how I know this is the hardware store.
A hardware store containing a plethora of crafting supplies and other valuable loot.
So there's a little bit of metadata we can get here. The important thing to remember is the swordfish, but we have to look at the next clip to see why the swordfish matters. One of the devs is showing off the new weapon inertia system, but when they stop moving, their cursor's pointing right at a swordfish, and they happen to be standing right across the street from the police station. This is footage from devlog 10. After killing a random, they're running down the street to the edge of town. So we know that the police station is at the edge of town on the right, and there's two commercial buildings on the left. The commercial building on the left looks a lot like the building they were just showing the weapon inertia in front of. So that's how I know it's the hardware store. So behind, or rather in front of the hardware store, is the police station. The police station is important for a lot of reasons. You can obtain quote-unquote mid-tier gear, so like higher-end rifles, lots of pistols, police vests. I saw grenades in there. It's a really high priority target for people that are looking to get pretty geared up pretty early, so this is definitely an interesting place to know where it is before we get into the game. They mentioned some sort of puzzle in the police station and bringing a flashlight in case the lights go out. So I can assume while I'm down there, the lights are probably going to go out. I'll have a flashlight on me. They said the stairs are blocked, so I'm assuming we're going to have to power the elevator. So after powering the elevator, you can take the elevator down to the bottom floor to get to the weapon stash. You'll need a rare key card though before being able to access the weapon stash. We actually have to switch it up a little bit here because the next clip is how I figured out where Safeway, the library, the recreation center, multiple NERA camps, and the medical clinic are. They basically show an overhead view of all of these buildings, and they're easily identifiable from the photo.
There's a large variety of locations to be explored within the town of Canmore itself. Key locations include a large grocery store, a library, an under-construction rec center, multiple NERA camps, the medical clinic.
One of the more important things I wanted to do is try to figure out where north, south, east, and west are. I figured it out by looking at the next clip from the library. I froze the frame here because there's something really important. There's a satellite dish at the top corner of the library and it's pointing away from us. If you zoom in on the overhead view of the map I made, you can actually see the satellite dish there as well. And since the satellite dish is pointing away from us, we know that all satellite dishes point south in the game. We must be looking south. Next up is the baseball field. The baseball field is pretty obvious. Some of the items I'm sure that could be found there are a baseball bat and maybe even some baseballs. You could use nails and a hammer from the hardware store to create a rather terrifying bat with nails in it, which you'll see in the next clip.
I've also implemented a modular crafting system that allows for a variety of item combinations. As an example, you can combine nails, a hammer, and a baseball bat in order to hammer nails into the baseball bat, granting a damage boost. Any sort of weapon modification that's reasonable on the fly, such as attaching or detaching rail-mounted attachments, will be used by this system moving forward.
A little bit down the street from the baseball field is a gas station. This is pretty easy to identify from the picture because of the T that it makes. It's a pretty distinct shape. Gas stations have a lot of loot in them from what I've seen. They have mailboxes outside of them where you can find newspapers with lore in them. They have food inside. I've seen flashlights. I haven't seen batteries, but it would make sense that maybe there's batteries in there if there's flashlights. Also, gas stations can have keys in them to vehicles nearby, so this is definitely a place that you're going to want to check out. I'll throw up a video of a gas station showing what they look like for reference. I feel like it's important to say that not all of the gas stations are going to look like this. They're not just copying and pasting assets all over the place. They mentioned in one of their vlogs that they felt like the gas stations and the motels were repeating. So they have a couple different models for buildings like that. Next, we're going to look across the highway at the concrete plant and the recycling facility. I'm going to do these both at the same time because I don't really have a lot of information on the concrete plant, unfortunately, and they're right next to each other. I'm going to play a clip from one of the devlogs where they talk about both of these facilities.
We've got some industrial buildings on the outskirts of Canmore, such as the concrete plant, as well as a large recycling facility. Both of these locations would make an excellent establishment for a hardy group of survivors.
There is a lot more buildings in Canmore. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough information to identify all of them. There's a lot more I could speculate on, but I only wanted to put in here what I could more or less prove. I think that that's important because I don't think that this information is going to change. I think it's pretty set in stone, and I also think that it's really interesting. So I hope you learned something, and if you want to learn more stuff, here's some more videos you can check out.